So welcome back to a new video on the channel. Today I'm doing a video I'm very excited about doing. It is me revealing my 1990 imported MR2 Turbo. If you've watched my first video on the channel of me revealing my SCIROCCO, I want to kind of do it exactly like that. That video blew up. That video done really well. But I'm going to go over exactly what this car is, because this car is a pretty cool car, man. It's got a pretty nice story behind it. I'm going to tell you what it is, because in my opinion these are silly rare now. We went to Japfest last year, me and my dad did, and we saw one turbo there, and we went in this, so there was two turbos there apparently, and we walked around the whole place and there was only two. So in my opinion these are silly rare. And there's something else as well, I'll tell you later, what makes it even more rare as well. So I've been excited to do this video for a very long time, so I'm finally doing it now. But I'm going to give you a cold start. I'm going to get it outside and take it down to the bottom because I can't fit through there. I'm not a midget. So I'm going to give you a quick cold start as well of it. It doesn't sound as loud as my SCIROCCO, but this car is basically stock. As far as I'm aware, there's two modifications done to this car. One modification everyone does to every single car. So I'll talk to you about it in a second. Legally not allowed to have a cat as well because of the age of the car, and it's killing me at the moment. I'm dying in this room. Before I actually go through the MR2 as well, I want to say a massive thank you to the support I'm getting. I've reached over 1,000 subs, and as a kid, obviously, this is like my 7th YouTube channel, and this is the first one to ever hit that amount. So I'm extremely grateful. I'm constantly checking the YouTube analytics app I've got on my phone, and it's constantly growing. Every time I check, there's more subs, there's more views, there's more likes, there's more comments. I love it. Obviously it's amazing. But onto the MR2. So the bonnet is up because it doesn't get driven and it's always flat, because underneath here, if nobody knew, there's no engine because the engine is in the back of the MR2s. There's normally a spare wheel in there, the spare wheel somewhere else in this garage somewhere, but it's like a kind of like a frunk sort of thing. You can't, when the spare wheel's in there, you can't fit nothing in there. So looking at the front, it is a beautiful car. It is stunning. I love this car. This is my favourite car of the collection. I think this is the favourite car that we've ever had as a family. This car lived its first 10 years in Japan. It's a 1990 Rev 1. Rev 1's stupid rare now for well, the main reason is people keep writing them off. They have a very small anti-roll bar on the back, and there's 5 revisions of the MR2s altogether, and this being the first, obviously it only got better from there. So over the years they strengthened up the anti-roll bar, because on the back of these they like to snap, even in the bone dry and in driving really normal, going around corners really slow, it will still snap on you. So that's one big reason why they're so rare. But it lived its first 10 years in Japan, and then it came over to England in 2000, the year 2000, and 24 years later we've got it now. My dad did have this car. It is my car now, but he was given down. This car was, he bought this car about 10 years ago, so it's been in our family for 10 years, and the amount of cars that our family have had, it's one of them where you buy one, you sell one, you get another one. It's just constantly new cars in the family. This is one car that's never been up for sale or never up for questioning for sale. The bodywork is pretty much flawless. It does need a bit of a wash, but besides underneath the dirt, obviously the bodywork is flawless. It's a 34-year-old car, and this is a 34-year-old car that still looks pristine. On the front, on the wheels, we have some 15-inch 5-spoke alloys. I think these are genuine MR2 alloys. There is another set that I'm actually not very nice at all. These have got the nice ones. They're like a dark gun-smoked grey. It's alright, it's 5 degrees outside and I'm wearing shorts at the moment. I went for a haircut, and then I thought I'd come make a few videos while I'm out and it's daytime. So I'm freezing. Even though this car is extremely low, it still clears everything really well. it looks low, but it's not low. It's one of them, like, it doesn't ever struggle to cope with certain curves or bumps or speed bumps. It always rides them really well. So on the front as well, the tyres and Toyo Proxys as well. These are like one of the best tyres you can get for these cars. And 195 55 15s. So they're not massive on the front, but on the back, they're 225 50 15s. So there's them a bit bigger. Obviously this car is rear wheel drive. Discs aren't the best actually at the moment, that's because it hasn't been driven. If I show you the recent MOTs as well of this car, let me get it up on my phone. So on Total Car Check, this app's free by the way if anybody wants it. This car, apparently according to these, the average miles for a 34-year-old car is 200,000. This one is done, I stopped focusing. So as you can see, I don't think it's focusing very well, but it's done 81,859 miles. That was in last March, and since then it done 80,000 miles in 2013. So it's done less than 1,000 miles in 11 years. What's mental. Obviously Toyota's flagship car was the Supra back in the day, back in the 90s. This was a mid-engine rear-wheel drive two-seater car, hence the name MR2. That's what their objective was, and they've done the objective as well. They've done it pretty good. Yeah, it did fail though on both near side tyres actually, and so these tyres have been on the car for quite some time. They was quite expensive as well back then, I believe. There wasn't cheap tyres at all. One way you can tell it's an import as well is something to do with the indicators. I'm not 1,000,000% sure on what it is. I just know the English spec ones don't have the same indicators of these. Also, another way to tell if it's an import is the square number plate as well. English ones have a number plate like this, like the rectangular ones. These are square ones, well, square rectangular ones, and the same on the front as well. It's a square number plate. The best thing about this car is the fact it's got the pop-up headlights as well. It's got yellow fog lights and the pop-up headlights. Everyone loves pop-up headlights. Doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter what gender you are, everybody loves pop-up headlights. Another way to tell if it is a turbo as well is these vents here, and the naturally aspirated ones and flat, them like the same, they're in line with these. This it's just one flat surface, where the turbos it's actually got the vents coming out of the car. So that's just another way. Obviously you can buy them and you can put them on your NAs, but for the most part that's how you tell it's a turbo. Another thing is as well is the fact this is a T-bar model, and it's still got its sunshades as well. What's another rare thing for the car. Back with Toyota as well is the GT model was their top spec car. They had a GTI model in Golfs and Polos or whatever, and Peugeots, or anything with GTI normally means it's great. It's their, you know, one of their best cars. I'm pretty certain the GTI MR2 wasn't nowhere. It was like pretty low down in like the spec list and everything, where the GT with the top spec. It's got the half and half leather, and I don't even know what material you'll call that, door cards and seats, they're factory. Slight markings everywhere. Again, this car's 34 years old. It lived in Japan, it's now living in England, so you're gonna have to expect a few things. Jumping in though, this is where it gets race car mode. I'm greeted by a beautiful big fat steering wheel with absolutely no buttons, because in 1990 they had no buttons. As you can see there on the gauge, it's got 82,603 kilometers. What's stupid, I think it's about 50,000 miles as well. So it's got, I think it's just got slightly more than my SCIROCCO. My SCIROCCO is 26 years newer than this car, and it's only got a few more miles. This has only got a few more miles on it. What's mental. This is one of the only cars I've seen that the fuel gauge is always up. On most cars, when you turn the ignition on, the fuel gauge comes up with it. This is constantly where it is. It's got a turbo pressure sensor there, PSI gauge, and the water coolant temperature gauge there. With it being an import, everything's backwards, so the indicator and lights are on the right side, and then your washers are on the left side. What gets confusing at times, because the same with the Nissan as well, the Nissan's doing imports. With Japanese imports as well, they're more right-hand drive, what makes it really good for us in England, whereas German imports are more left-hand drive and everything like that, and other Europe countries. The only thing that isn't factory is the infotainment system. I don't know what happened with the old one, to be fair, saying that. We've only just put that in. I think it's because we took this car to Japfest in Silverstone and we wanted something that we can watch the sat-nav off, so we installed that. We have a boost gauge another boost gauge here, a Turbo Smart boost gauge that's not hooked up. This does actually work as well. We don't really fancy drilling holes into the pillar, so we thought, well, if you could get a bracket that sits on there, that would make our life easier, and we don't have to drill into the A-pillar. So it's a win-win. Like apart where like a money box down there, you can't really fit much in there unless you want to fit 5p's in there. Not a lot. The fogs and the horn, they can switch on and off. Even back then, it had automatic folding windows. That's mental. And then back out on both sides. The wipers are going off for some reason. Turn them off. Got automatic windows as well. This is obviously a 2-seater car. You actually, this is a proper, the definition of MR2 is mid-engine rear-wheel drive 2-seater, I believe. So obviously it's a 2-seater car. There's no cup holders, so don't even try that. There's no cup holders in there either. That's just where you can put like your locking up, whatever, or whatever else you can fit in there. So if you go to McDonald's in this car, you've got no chance because you can't fit anything anywhere. But for the most part, there's not actually a lot to go on about in this interior, since there's nothing in it. It's a proper race car interior, I've always thought. Well, I've always loved this car. When this car came into the family, I think I was either 9 or 10, and I always loved the Fast and Furious films growing up. I loved cars growing up. I loved Disney cars. I loved them all. So this being like my version of a race car, obviously you got nothing. It's just the bog standard. This car is a 5-speed manual. The handbrake is positioned here for some reason, whereas most cars are there, but I suppose that's probably the best place for it, thinking about the space that they've got to work with. We also have a gauge there. Obviously nothing's powered on at the moment, but you have your volts and your temperature there. To pop the engine as well, if that one, there you go. Now I didn't pop the engine actually, I popped the rear boot. So then here we are greeted with the 3S GTE engine. Another way, if you don't know if it's a turbo or an NA, the NAs just go straight into the intake, where the air filter, the induction kit, whatever it's got on it, goes straight into the turbo on this one. All the writing's still in Japanese and the coolant and everything and all there, it's all still in Japanese. Nothing's been changed on this car. We love imports a lot. In terms of one of the modifications we've done is, I don't know if you can see it down there, but we've just installed a stainless steel induction kit running through to the turbo. It sounds unreal, this car does. This car is, oh, the turbo sounds, obviously the turbo's right behind you and the engine's right behind you. Because people say it's a rear engine car, and I said it earlier, it's not exactly, it's a mid-engine car. Because obviously this would be where the rear is, like on the Lamborghinis and the R8s or whatever, but this is mid-engine. The other modification we've got is from the factory. I believe these are 220-ish brake horsepower. This has got, I think, 280 brake, and 280 brake in this car is a lot. It's a lot of power going to the rear wheels. It's scary, to be fair. You see the turbo there. The turbo is actually quite big, to be fair, for the car. I believe they had it running 300 brake at some point, but the turbo started chattering, so obviously it was turned down, and now it's a safe 280 brake, what's more than enough. We send this car to, only one person ever touched this car really, we send it to. We never actually mess with this car ourselves, because this bloke is a MR2 specialist, and he's well respected, and he's always looked after this car for us, so we always trust him to do it. In the summer, obviously I will be doing some driving videos on this, even if everybody screams in the comments saying please don't ever do a driving video on it. I'm going to do one. I love this car. This car makes me smile every time I drive it. It makes me happy, this car does. Obviously I have the SCIROCCO that's got more power on paper and everything, and other cars such as that, but there's something about driving this car and the sounds it gives you and the speed of it, it's just makes you, makes me giggle every time. I did take it up to Manchester last year. This car, to be fair, last year it did do more miles last year than it did in the past 10 years. We took it to Silverstone, what's about 100 miles each way, and then I took it to Manchester as well. We took it to Manchester for shopping, I think, actually, for some reason. I think I just wanted to go in the car because the SCIROCCO had a problem with it, believe it or not. So then I had this, driving around in this, and it was summer as well, so the T-bar was off, the roof was off, and it was beautiful. Sitting on the motorway as well, beautiful. Even though it's a 5-speed, it sits at quite high revs, obviously. I think it sits at roughly 3,000 RPM on the motorway. You can't actually see, to be fair. I'm really bad with the lighting. I don't know if you can hear that. The turbo sounds are just stupid. It is so sexy, it is unreal. But that is going to be it for this video. Don't worry about this car. This car will be making a return on the channel 1,000,000,000%. I'm not going to go for a drive in it today, strictly because it's raining and this car scares me in the dry, let alone in the rain. So that will be held off for another video. If you want to see that video, obviously subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss it. But that is it for my Toyota SW20 MR2 Turbo Rev 1 T-Bar Import. Don't know what else to say about it. This car makes you happy. I'm recording a video about it and I'm smiling all the time over it. It's ridiculous. If you did enjoy, obviously, please hit the like, subscribe if you're new, and hit the bell so you don't miss an upcoming video. Leave a comment as well, because I've been getting a few suggestions saying I should be doing collabs with people. For example, reviewing their cars. Two of the cars are pretty cool cars, to be fair, and I don't know if you guys would like to see them. If you are, drop it in the comments, or any video for that matter. If you want to see anything, then please let me know. I'll get it out for you, no problem. But that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.